Good morning, everyone. At the outset, I'd like to thank Sandra ma'am for the opportunity and to conclude this session of AOS, the last talk here, the screening kids from 0 to 3 years and our experience with early intervention. So everyone, there's no need to stress the importance of early detection because early detection and assessment for any visual impairment is crucial to help minimize the impact of VI and promote child's development. We did this screening for children 0 to 3 years, and the total number of children screened in a year were 22,028, and uncorrected refractive errors were around 346 children. As expected, hypermetropia was the most common. Most of them did not need glasses, while myopic astigmatisms in 2 to 3 years. But refractive error was not a major concern because we didn't see much of it. Around 295 children with squint were identified and treated, around 11%. But the focus of today's talk was this visual impairment. Children with vision impairment was around 13.5%, around 360 children. 49% of those children had VI attributable to treatable or avoidable causes like cataract, ROP, refractive error, and strabismus. So this is why this study becomes important. And why did we think of this? Because of this data that came through Kansas University, where they did a child registry between 0 to 3 years, and they realized that the most important cause of vision impairment in children 0 to 3 years is CVI. So we thought we don't have something like that. Our most important was ROP and such, but then we were actually we found out, we disappointedly and unfortunately we found out that we had the same pattern, and 26% of children with vision impairment or children with low vision 0 to 3, the major cause was CVI only. So now it becomes important that these children get screened. So why is it so important? Because very early in life, if a child has a vision impairment, so the child is going to have developmental delay across all domains, leaving a mentally, emotionally, and a socially crippled child. That is why early intervention and active screening between 0 to 3 becomes important. So, and the assessment is very different because 0 through 3, we would not do any visual assessment. All we would say is fixing and following, and that is not enough to say anything. So, always try and get an age appropriate visual acuity along with fields, contrast, and near vision. In an outreach setting, at least this much has to be done if you want to quantify a child for vision. And this is snapshot screening. This is something we'd like to do when we are in the outreach setting. One thing is fixation to a Heidi face. So when a child has typically under 5 seconds of fixation, something is wrong. Please bring in them for a CVI screening. And 5 to 8 seconds, 8 seconds is optimal, it's normal. And when they have a prolonged screening as a prolonged fixation as well, something might be wrong. So this is a snapshot screening that you can use in Anganwadis or schools or in NICUs. So why is this mirror test becoming so important now? If a child, when you get nothing in a child with CVI, if they have profound, severe CVI, you're not getting anything, not even fixing, following, show them to a mirror. If they can see themselves in the mirror, they can roughly see a human face at 2 feet. That is your distance and vision that you can estimate for the child. And a contrast of 5% in the Heidi plate. Hiding Heidi of 5% equals the contrast of a human face. So in the outreach area, if you want to know the communicable distance, from 30 centimeters, just keep coming back every 1 meter, 1.5 meter until the child is able to see the 5% contrast. At one point, they will not see. So the last distance where the child is able to see this 5% contrast is the communicable distance that you can work with. And then for screening, again, this is something everybody knows, but why I've put here is when you're going with an outreach team and you want to do a functional vision, you might not be able to take all your Lia paddle and puzzles and everything. So for screening, you can always use the Vikas app just to see if the child has any functional vision difficulty. So intervention, again, glasses, always glasses. 0 to 3, we have set protocols. There are AAO guidelines to say whom to give glasses. These children don't conform by those standards. Even if there is a small error, please correct. And accommodation, again, I can't stress enough because they have accommodation difficulties. Most of them have hypo-accommodation. If there is no accommodation, near vision suffers. They don't fix, so they have to be put on plus glasses. It is better to do a dynamic retinoscopy and give whatever accommodation they require instead of empirically putting them in +2 or +3. Also, a quick history that you can ask out in the outreach setting is that the child is not looking at faces, but the mother will tell, when I'm walking at a distance, the child is able to turn and see me. So if that is there, please look for accommodation specifically. So this is one case study. This one child who came to us at 3 months with ROP, not fixing and following, it was stage 5 ROP. All of us said that he's not going to see. And 1 year later, in April 2023, when he came, his stellar acuity was 2260. With a 10% contrast, child is able to reach for objects and walks independently. Don't ask how this is happening. I don't know. This is the second child that's happening. So even when we think there is no visual potential at all, we still push for early intervention and vision therapy, because from not fixing following to PL also means ambulatory vision. The child can independently walk and reach objects and negotiate, which means the child can be independent, and there is no cross disability when this early intervention starts. So always offer the child the benefit of early intervention. And this is another boy with he is LCA, his sister is also LCA, she's in Braille. So this boy came to us at 5 years of age because his sister was getting trained in computers. He was supposed to join the blind school, but because COVID and blind schools were shut, he was just lingering around with us. So what happened was, he along with his sister, he just started learning NVDA, and in 1 year's time he was proficient with basic keyboard use. So when the schools opened up, he didn't go to a blind school at all. He went to the government school with a laptop, and he goes to typical government school with laptops, and he's been giving exams in this also. Now Government of India has approved exams. Even CBSE class 12 and class 10 can give in online mode of examination. So this is very easy. They don't have to go to Braille and don't have to go around for a scribe. And the same orientation mobility, whenever a child has early visual impairment, the key thing is to make them get up and walk. Because a child can't see doesn't mean the child has to not walk also. So at 18 months of age, every child who is seeing or not seeing has to walk. So 18 months we start with a traditional walker. All children do very well with that. This is a post-retinoblastoma bilateral enucleation. So 2 to 5 years we put them onto strollers, which is very easy for them to tackle. And this is the same boy who saw with NVDA. Because he's 5 years and older, we gave him height-based canes, and this boy is pretty much independent now. So an online vision therapy, this started with COVID. We have pretty good experience with it. We don't have a lot of attrition. So we also schedule these visits so that it's easier, and they do it at home itself if they can't come back to us. And now something which has gained a lot of popularity with us is the buddy therapy or the sibling therapy, where you put the child's actual sibling itself during functional vision therapy, or you take another child with visual disability, something with a different visual disability or a different functional visual capacity, put them together and start training them. They help each other very well, and when you see, they pick up each other very well, and the therapy session goes much better than anticipated. Another point I would like to emphasize is this profound VI and cross disability, something called blindism. When children very early on in life just have visual impairment, they are just blind at birth and they are not rehabilitated early, eventually they get limited mobility, communication, conceptualization, their socialization suffers, and they end up as autistic by 8 or 9 years. They are actually not autistic. The problem is cross disability. So early intervention for these children, putting them to blind rehab becomes very important. What are the red flags for referral? Any child with insult to growing brain, any child who's been there in the NICU for long, preterms, all preemies, ROP, developmental delay, poor attention, learning disability. Anytime they say they don't behave properly in school, there's deviant behavior, please look up if they have issues. And multidisciplinary approach. We are all very familiar with the all under one umbrella, where the child is a center and everybody comes and does everything for them. In many centers, it is not at all practical because we don't have the space or we don't have the capacity to do it. But a better way of doing it is if every therapist is connected with the child in the center, meaning with vision therapy, when the vision therapy is happening, the PT and OT are connected through Zoom. So they know what exactly happens in vision therapy. And when physio is happening, the vision therapist, the speech and everybody is again connected over online. So the child can go wherever they are comfortable with. The PT or OT doesn't have to come to your place where they don't have their own setup and everything. All that is required is the child can do the child sessions where all other therapists are connected in one go and they know what is happening, so they can simultaneously do it. We've been trying this and it works comfortably well, and all therapists are happy because they have their own comfort zone to work with. And outreach, these children are not going to come to us if you're going to sit waiting for them, because most of the time they only don't know what the problem is and they'll eventually present late. So always look for areas where you can do outreach. One problem is 0 to 3, you can't go knocking on doors all the time. So pediatricians, OGCians especially, because OGCians many a times have a chance of finding it. They have preeclampsia, complicated pregnancy, they know they're going to pull in for a early preterm session. They will know that at least they have to tell the parents. So OGCians, neonatologists, NICUs, everywhere we can actually screen. Vision screening or grading acuity can be done as early as 32 weeks in preemies, and it's been documented. So it is not that in preterm you cannot see vision, you can still do it in the NICU. Anganwadis are a good area. This is another thing we've tried right now, is online camps with pediatricians. So this is us connecting with a pediatrician in Virudunagar who has a few cases every Friday. He brings in patients. So online only he tells what the problem is so that we can fix up an appointment with them online. We can also talk to the parents, tell them what to expect, why is this important. So we have a follow-up, kind of the loop is complete. So this way of doing every year. The DIC of the concerned district hospital is also connected so that we can get in this early intervention with active referral. So finally, to conclude, active referral and networking is very important if you're going to screen these children. And thank you for the opportunity. And thank you everyone for being in this IC at this last moment. On behalf of Sandra ma'am, I'll thank everyone.
And do you do the proper real assessment and rule out organic causes? So is it possible? Because many times that's the problem which I face, is like when you go to remote areas, very difficult for them to come to us. SSA Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. Okay. So this is basically for the government schools, isn't it? Government schools only have the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. No? It's not for the block. Even but the private schools are not covered in that, I think. They'll do it. And just one more thing, sometimes when you're screening 3 years, na? 0 to 3 years. So sometimes you have children with delayed visual maturation. And so then you're saying it's okay, even if you start them early, it's fine, they would have just had. So no need to isolate and separate them. Start them anyway.